Every year, heart disease claims the lives of nearly 18 million people worldwide. According to the CDC, cardiovascular diseases claim one life in the United States every 34 seconds. In the U.S., heart disease claimed the lives of almost 697,000 people in 2020, accounting for 1 in 5 of all fatalities. We are all too familiar with cholesterol and the complications it can cause, and most often, it gets a bad rep for causing heart disease. So much so that most middle-aged people regularly get their cholesterol checked and are given medication to control it. Doctors all over the world have always said that having healthy cholesterol levels and avoiding saturated fats are important ways to lower the risk of heart disease. However, this may not be true. As mind-boggling as it may sound, cholesterol may actually not be all that bad for us. Just the fact that our bodies synthesize their own cholesterol suggests that we need it for normal bodily functions. You must be wondering, why have we been taught to avoid fatty foods because they can increase our cholesterol levels? To eat less yolks, dairy, red meat, and seafood? Why are manufacturers pushing out products that are low in saturated fat? Well, cholesterol and how our body uses it are quite complicated, so the answer is not that simple. Let's start off with how cholesterol ended up with a bad reputation. In 1958, a young American physiologist named Ancel Keys published the 7 countries study. In the study, he looked at the average fat consumption in 7 countries and correlated it with the amount of cholesterol in the blood of the citizens of those countries. In that study, he found a direct correlation between the consumption of fats and the average levels of cholesterol in the general population, and the number of people suffering from heart disease. This theory was soon accepted widely, and cholesterol became the devilish mascot of heart disease. Food companies and people grew concerned about the fat levels in their food. Even governments began to encourage citizens to eat less fat. But there was a glaring flaw in Keys' study. He had access to the data of over 22 countries, and he simply cherry-picked countries that suited his hypothesis best and went along with it. If we were to examine data from the Greek islands of Crete and Corfu, both islands consume fat in roughly the same quantities. According to Keys' hypothesis, both islands should have similar rates of heart disease. But this is not the case. In fact, in Corfu, the deaths from heart disease are a whopping 17 times higher than in Crete. This single-handedly disagrees with Keys' hypothesis. This makes it clear that fat and cholesterol may not exactly be the main culprits. For the past couple of decades, doctors and mainstream media have catapulted cholesterol as the root cause of heart diseases, completely unaware of the reality of the study. But then, what is the main culprit, and why was it so easy for them to trust the study's findings? Let's first understand exactly what cholesterol is. This is an article from Harvard Medical School, and they describe cholesterol is a waxy whitish-yellow fat and a crucial building block in cell membranes. Cholesterol is also needed to make vitamin D, hormones, including testosterone and estrogen, and fat-dissolving bile acids. In fact, cholesterol production is so important that your liver and intestines make about 80% of the cholesterol you need to stay healthy. Only about 20% comes from the foods you eat. But there is an issue here. Our bodies are mostly water, and these fats or fat-soluble vitamins cannot coexist, just like how fat aggregates and floats on top of water's surface. So, how do we even make cakes if we can't mix butter with water? The answer? Egg yolks, and they are rich in, that's right, cholesterol. So our body packages cholesterol and other lipids into minuscule protein-covered particles that mix easily with blood. These tiny particles, called lipoproteins, lipid plus protein, move cholesterol and other fats throughout the body. And you can think of them as Uber cars transporting passengers. And these passengers are fat, cholesterol, and vitamins that need to get to different parts of your body. Over time, the cars get emptier as the fats and vitamins are delivered to tissues, and that becomes what is known as LDL, particles carrying almost purely cholesterol. the villain of causing blockages in arteries, leading to all sorts of complications, which we will be talking about more later in the video. But first, let us look deeper into what most people don't really know about. This is what our bodies really need cholesterol for. It is a component of cell membranes and aids in maintaining their strength and flexibility. Basically, no cell membrane equals no cell. Hormones like estrogen, testosterone, and cortisol are just a few of the hormones produced from cholesterol. It also facilitates bile production, which is needed to digest fats. This explains why when we eat fatty foods, our cholesterol levels go up. That's not all. Our nerve fibers are protected by cholesterol, which helps transmit nerve impulses. It's also needed to make our outermost layer of skin, which prevents water loss and keeps our skin moist. Now that we have that out of the way, let's look at what cholesterol can do to us if it's in excessive amounts, especially LDL particles. You recall that low-density lipoprotein, LDL particles, are mostly cholesterol now since most of the triglycerides they carried are gone. So these can deposit cholesterol and cause obstructions in your arteries, restrict flow to any part of your body, and change the degree of consequences later: heart attacks, strokes, peripheral artery disease, and even kidney failure. So why does our body use this system for fat absorption at the risk of eventually killing ourselves? Remember the car transport analogy? Well, human bodies are known for maintaining balance. When those LDL particles traverse across our arteries and veins, they may unknowingly deposit cholesterol along the way. That's when HDL, or high-density lipoprotein, commonly known as the good cholesterol, comes in to remove all these rogue cholesterols and bring them back to the liver. So, without a doubt, this system naturally brings itself into balance. So does the notion of labeling them good or bad make any sense at all? Since the lack of either LDL or HDL would almost guarantee a cataclysmic event in your body. The icing on the cake is how doctors worldwide treat elevated cholesterol levels. Statins have been the go-to medication for patients, and they work by blocking one process in a long series of reactions to prevent cholesterol from being made in the liver, ultimately resulting in lower cholesterol levels in the body. This method is no different than conventional warfare, with indiscriminate bombings and severe collateral damage, obliterating the cholesterol that your body needs for its survival. No one should be surprised at the side effects, which include headaches, nausea, and muscle and joint aches. In more extreme cases, it can also cause type 2 diabetes, muscle damage, and liver damage. So let's look at what we know so far. We know that there was a flawed report that launched cholesterol into the spotlight. And we know that cholesterol itself is actually quite important for our body. Yet, here we are, talking about drugs with extreme side effects that block the formation of cholesterol itself. It just doesn't add up. Then, 5 decades later, in 2014, this was published in Time magazine. In it, it talked about how higher cholesterol levels are not exactly correlated with the risk of cardiac illness. To add to that, recent studies have also shown that the consumption of saturated fats is also not conducive to higher cholesterol levels. This does not mean that our diets go unchecked. As we showed earlier, our bodies excel at surviving and ensuring balance. So giving them balanced diets goes down much easier. High cholesterol levels are just one factor in a complex equation that determines the risk of heart disease, but they alone do not carry all the blame. As you can see, cholesterol is a double-edged sword. While it can potentially be bad for our health, we also need it for our bodies to function. However, having high levels of cholesterol is not the only reason for cardiac illness. There are other factors at play as well. So why do we constantly pair cholesterol with cardiac illnesses when factors such as inflammation, hypertension, genetics, and lifestyle factors are also part of the equation that determines your chance of getting heart disease? So why do doctors always blindly conform every human on Earth to one single cholesterol benchmark to decide if your own unique body is functioning or not. And if cholesterol is not the only factor, could there be a bigger picture behind this demonization of cholesterol? And it seems that there may be one, as the rise in consumption of this somehow coincides so very nicely with the heart disease epidemic and skyrocketing obesity rates. Consider subscribing and ding the bell for the next one.